Good morning. It's Thursday, and it's time for us to have our devotion together. Today we're looking another long section of text, continuing the story that we've been looking at of Paul getting to Jerusalem and beginning to talk and being arrested, and then getting to talk again in the process of being arrested. Yesterday we finished his initial speech to the people who were beating him, as after Paul was taken into custody by the Romans, by the Roman soldiers. So he's, the image is we're in the temple. There was chaos and violence, and they were beating Paul up, and the Roman soldiers came in and stopped it. Stopped all the madness, but they're arresting Paul because he's clearly the cause of this, and they want to get the violence to stop. I was going to say they want to make peace. I mean peace in the sense that they stay in control and there isn't any trouble, to whatever extent that is peace. But Paul asked them if he would be allowed to speak to his attackers, and so he has. And now we join in toward the end of that story. So he's finished an initial, this is why he's doing what he's doing, why he's saying what he's saying, what happened to him, and a little bit of bona fides, about he really is a Jew, a faithful Jew. All right, so up to this point, the text continues in verse 22 of chapter 22. They listened to him, but then they shouted, "Away with such a fellow from the earth! For he should not be allowed to live." And while they were shouting, throwing off their cloaks and tossing dust into the air, the tribune, the Roman guy in charge, directed that he was to be brought into the barracks and ordered him to be examined by flogging to find out the reason for this outcry against him. But when they had tied him up with thongs, Paul said to the centurion who was standing by, "Is it legal for you to flog a Roman citizen who is uncondemned?" When the centurion heard that, he went to the tribune and said to him, "What are you about to do? This man is a Roman citizen." The tribune came and asked Paul, "Tell me, are you a Roman citizen?" And he said, "Yes." The tribune answered, "It cost me a large sum of money to get my citizenship." So that's what the tribune said. And Paul said, "But I was born a citizen." Immediately those who were about to examine him drew back from him, and the tribune also was afraid, for he realized that Paul was a Roman citizen and that he had bound him. Well, it turns out, stopping the reading for a moment, it turns out, right, that if you were tracking with us yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, Paul mentioned that he was a citizen of an important city, which, and I mentioned when I read that we're going to come back to that. So what would happen is there were those who were born in territories of Rome who were citizens, and there were maybe other things around that. Or foreigners could also come in and pay to be a citizen and join up and do whatever, be a part of what was going on. And there were pretty significant rights in Rome for people who were part of the Roman Empire. And one of those rights is they couldn't just get flogged for no reason. They couldn't get bound for no reason. There were courts, and there were processes that were designed to work at justice and crime and punishment and all of that stuff. So now they thought that they had just arrested some clown, but now they realize that they have arrested probably without cause and were planning to beat, because they could, a guy who was a Roman citizen, and they are afraid. Okay, since he wanted to, continuing in the text, this is verse 30, since he wanted to find out what Paul was being accused of by the Jews, the next day he released him and ordered the chief priests and the entire council to meet. He brought Paul down and had him stand before them. So now he's brought everybody together. While Paul was looking intently at the council, he said, "Brothers, up to this day I have lived my life with a clear conscience before God." Then the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near him to strike him on the mouth. At this Paul said to him, "God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Are you sitting there to judge me according to the law, and yet in violation of the law you order me to be struck?" Those standing nearby said, "Do you dare insult God's high priest?" Oh, so now Paul has made a mistake. Paul said, "Oh, I did not realize, brothers, that he was high priest, for it is written, you shall not speak evil of a leader of your people." there's a lot we could do with that, and we're going to just let that sit. When Paul noticed that some were Sadducees and others were Pharisees, he called out in the council, "Brothers, I am a Pharisee, a son of Pharisees. I am on trial concerning the hope of the resurrection of the dead." Pharisees were known for believing in the resurrection and looking forward to the resurrection, so he's playing right into their hands. When he said this, a dissension began between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. Because the text says, actually, parenthetically, the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection or angel or spirit, but the Pharisees acknowledge all three. Then a great clamor arose, and certain scribes of the Pharisees group stood up and contended, "We find nothing wrong with this man. What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?" When the dissension became violent, the tribune, fearing that they would tear Paul to pieces, ordered the soldiers to go down, take him by force, and bring him into the barracks. Oh, man, so it's just a mess, right? They're fighting with each other and with Paul. That night the Lord stood near him and said, "Keep up your courage, for just as you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must bear witness also in Rome." And so we leave this piece of the story with an acknowledgement from God saying, you are going to Rome. You're not done here. So as we think about this sweeping change that Paul seems to be working for, and what does it mean for him to go and talk where in the seat of power? I mean, ultimately he wants audience with the emperor, the Caesar, the god of Rome. And when I opened my hymnal to look for a song, it opened to a song called "Beyond a Dying Sun," and it's a Reign of Christ song. It's a future song. It's a this is all going to be fixed someday song. And so I thought, well, that's ultimately what Paul is looking for. And so let's sing this song. It's number 416 in Voices Together. It's not. I don't know if it's in our blue hymnal or not. It could be. It's old enough to be just. But I haven't heard it before, so I'll just sing it, and we'll sing it tomorrow in our sing-along. Sorry, this devotion is getting a little long. All right. Ba ba ba. Beyond a dying sun, I saw a vision of the sea, of golden sails full billowed on the wind, and echoing above the waves, a voice called after me, "God's dwelling place is with you till the end." I see a new world coming, when everyone is free, and all shall be God's people in justice, love, and peace. For God at last shall wipe away the tears from every eye. The sting of death shall pierce the heart no more. When grieving turns to laughter, all the pain from us shall fly, and former ways lie bleached upon the shore. I see a new world coming, when everyone is free, and all shall be God's people in justice, love, and peace. Though hatred rages on the wind and wars defile the land, I see those golden sails still coming strong. For through the eyes of faith still shines the vision of the Lamb. And o'er a weary earth there rings this song. I see a new world coming, when everyone is free, and all shall be God's people in justice, love, and peace. All right, on to your day. Have a good one. Amen.